I asked them, how do I capitalize on the momentum that's coming to me when this film drops? For a long time, I've been trying to just break out of a concept to say, like, you know, like if you're a creator, or even if you're a businessman, it doesn't stop you from channeling and doing something else. What do you say is like the key to your success, and what is it?
So Rufaro, how are you?
I'm good, my bro. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. It's been a long time, actually.
Been a while.
I think the last time I saw you was I went to some comedy night in Reading.
And I saw you with your brother.
Yeah, we came out and we saw you there. Obviously, we've known each other for quite a long time now. We went to
Same school.
Yeah,
Forest.
where I went to in year 7, Forest, obviously.
Yeah.
You were there. So I always still remember you called my brother Justin Bieber.
He looked like Bieber.
He did. Do you know what? We still laugh about it now. Like, there'll be photos of him around the house with his like long hair and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm quite happy he's shaved it off now.
Yeah, it was a good look. It was the look for the times.
At that time, it was. I mean, now.
It is, but it's historical. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
Big up to him.
I'm happy that I could never grow hair like that.
Big up Ollie, man. What's he doing now?
Everything and anything.
He's the guy, man.
He's
doing international trade. I gotta speak to him.
Yeah, Zimbabwe. I think he's going back soon, so you have to catch up with him about it. But it's mad as well because obviously we've known each other for a while.
Yeah.
And then it always reminds me of Secret Drops.
Yes, of course.
So it's one of like the first things that I remember you doing, because obviously you used to sell like sweets at school and everything that and everything like that. But Secret Drops was the first thing that I remember looking back at. One of the things you did, obviously the clothing brand and everything like that. Where did that sort of idea come from, and what made you want to do that?
I was at uni at the time, so we're talking about late 2014 going into 2015, and I'd moved to London actually, so I was living in Archway, and my living condition wasn't the best because I didn't actually go to a campus that was inclusive, you know, like it's like a Reading campus.
Oh,
or
like
like
one of them train
where everyone's on the site, so it's like it was more so like a college, and I was just sort of hand to mouth, and my father was like, "Oh, you should just come back, stay these ways and sort of save money," but I thought to myself like, "Oh, what am I gonna do?" But I was wanting to like do some sort of business, do you know what I'm saying? Because obviously from having a natural instinct of just like selling things in school and stuff like that, I always wanted to get into some level of business. But I was literally in an apartment block in Waterloo, so South London, and I overheard a conversation of someone saying like, "Oh, I wish somebody could buy me these shoes, and I'll pay them double. Like I'll pay somebody 300 for them." So I was just like, "Wow, like what is the shoe that you're talking about?" And it was a Jordan Columbias, so like the 11 ones, and so I've ordered the shoes for him, like literally on the same night. I said, "I'll come with you to Nighttown." We queued up at Nighttown, saw like a few DJs and stuff like that outside, but I've bought the shoes for 140, and I've just said to him, "Just give me 200. I don't want 300, but just to see if that somebody's actually genuinely gonna pull through on that," and he did. So when he done that, I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. This is all right." So I was making a little bit of money, and then I made moved back to Reading and started commuting into uni. So when I was doing that, I've got to a stage where I was just like, I would sort of just queue up, get the shoes, and do that sort of thing. Then it spiraled from that going into Faded, the barbershop, and I got a shout out to those guys because they did a lot for me, like very early on into my journey and development.
Yeah.
And so when I was starting to spend my summer over there, when I say they, I'm talking about Faded, the barbershop, they wanted to do like a fun day, so a community sort of thing.
On Insta, yeah.
And like I remember, like I got into like fashion design, and like I was like, oh yeah, like from the shoes was when I used to buy the shoes, I knew what shoes I was getting, but I wouldn't tell people what shoes I've got. And then like a few weeks later, I'll drop like a text or something, or like post on the Instagram or whatever, and I say, oh, I've got these shoes. So the secret was the shoe that I got, and then the drop was the day that was. So that became Secret Drops. You know what I'm saying? But then when it became into like fashion and design and that sort of thing, I just carried the name across. And I remember my first design was just like some long t-shirt with zips. And there was a time period with that one summer people just had extra long. Yeah, just a long. Yeah. It was like that time period. Yeah. But yeah, that was one of my first business venture really, and it carried me through, to be fair, because obviously I remember when you'd come pick up some shoes, or you pick up some clothes, and I'd do like a few designs and that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? But when I was in second year of uni, like, because the development process started probably like 2015. 2016 was like a very good run because we did like a few like freshers events and that sort of thing. And then I just got like an email from like somebody that worked for like festivals, and like, we've been following your journey, and we would like you to come to like NAS Festival. So it just went from that to like really like a nice little scale up, and then we did like festivals that summer. So we did like NAS Festival, Kendall Calling, and then we did Boardmasters, which was my last festival. But ironically, that Boardmasters was probably one of the last Secret Drops releases that there was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember because we used to come to Faded to pick up like, the hats and the t-shirts. I remember I had the long sleeve black one, I had a short sleeve one, I think in every colour, the hats in all the colours as well.
Yeah.
Because then I went to Uganda, and then you saw that I was going there, and you were like, "Oh, do you want some clothes to take out there?" Because you knew I was going out there to work at like a children's home. So I was like, yeah, of course. I remember you gave me like 20, 30 t-shirts, hats, and I went out there and just gave it out to the children's home and stuff like that. And we said just before, the last time I went was 3 years ago because of COVID, and people were still wearing like the hats and stuff. And I go there and I'm like, that's crazy. But I always remember it because you didn't really post about it.
No.
So it wasn't like do you know what, let me do this so I get like a little bit of good like image and stuff like that, which is what a lot of people do it. Like, you did it actually out of the good of your own heart. You're there like, oh, take that, give it back. You're giving back kind of thing.
No, I think Uganda for me is actually kind of a special place. Actually, funny enough, my little sister's mother is from there. So like my stepsister, but my little sister, she's from there. So like when you were saying you were going to that sort of thing, and I saw you were doing a lot of trips around that time period as well. You were flying in and out. So I was like, oh, the next time you go, I would like to sort of give something. You know what I mean? And it was like even like the design essence of it, like what it represented was it was the first designs that I saw genuinely myself that had like a black representation on the forefront. You know what I'm saying? Because like the logo itself was just like a black baby, just like sitting there with like being mischievous, but with like the hair, afro hair, very representing. And it was like, and we had like the Aztec designs as well to sort of give like the African feel. And so it was when you were going to Uganda, I thought, you know what, that's something of the essence and that's something for the culture. So thank you for doing that, man. That was big for me.
I always remember it. I literally always remember it because I remember, this leads on to the next bit, the Jimmy Jones part. Yeah. Because when that blew up massively, which we're going to say, then I'm always like, oh yeah, well, do you know what? Like he actually like gave me these t-shirts and I took with me. Yeah. And everyone's like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, I've known Rufaro like a long time. Yeah. And I was like, it's not actually like he's got a real good place. We come from like good heart and stuff. And I was like, that shows it. 'Cause it wasn't like a publicity thing. It was more like, I want to give back.
Because no one, because we never really went on any sort of like, I never took them in the photos that you sent me and went far with them. I just literally some also just kept them and showed them to like friends and family sort of thing. And then maybe on the stories here and there, but it wasn't like a massive.
You reposted it when I posted it. I think that was it.
It was more so that, but I even. But the way of thinking for me was like, oh, it's in another part of the world and like another community somewhere knows about my stuff, but also they got something nice that they can wear as well in and around the area. So yeah, it was good, man.
It's a bit different as well. Yeah, like, to be fair, I see a lot of retro football shirts there. Yeah, that's like a big thing out there. And
is it?
I see some of these shirts and I'm like, do you know how much like someone in England would buy that
pay
shirt?
That? Yeah.
There's a bar where I go, and all their walls are just covered in them. And I was with him and I was like, you know, like I'm online, that shirt there is like £400. Oh, it's like, I don't care. Yeah. Sentimental value. Yeah, he's there like, oh, people will come in, like people from like America and England and like Netherlands everywhere, and they'll try to buy them off him, and he's just like, no.
Nah, they hold their value.
I won't do it. But
shout out to guys in Uganda.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? But then obviously the secret drops happen. Obviously then Jimmy Jones kind of came out. Obviously you're always quite posting quite a lot of funny stuff on Instagram and everything like that. But do you think at that point is when it kind of like blew up, your Instagram in particular? Yeah, I think. Do you know what? I've been grinding for a long time. Especially with content creation. I was doing content when I was in school. Do you know? So I was doing videos with like teachers and that sort of thing, and I got videos of like just generally just being a troll online. I just used to live for that. And what happened actually for Jimmy Jones to come into fruition was that I had done 2 summers before that. I was creating some content, and like I'm a music fan, so I listen to a lot of like Nine's music. Yeah, and like he had a show, so he was at his first London show that he was gonna do,
and I was like just running around on Brick Lane, and I was like, yo, like Nines is gonna have a show, and some random man I've just seen him. I'm like, Nines is having a show. Obviously, he at the time, or maybe he didn't know Nines.
Yeah.
So he's just looking at me like, what are you talking about? But it was such a funny reaction that when I've posted it, it's gone sort of viral, and then like Nines himself has taken it and reposted it. So I was like, oh, like someone famous is sharing my content. You know what I'm saying? That was great. Like for me, that was quite big. And then that show for him got cancelled.
Okay.
And then like a year later, he dropped like 1 foot out. Yeah, he dropped 1 foot out. And then I remember just looking at my DMs, and I just got a DM. Like I was like, oh right, like Nines has messaged me. So I was like, yo, like this is out of the blue, like what's going on? And he's like, yeah, I remember like one time, like I was like, I'm liking the album. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember one time you did this funny skit for me. And I was like, oh, is it? So I was like, do you want another one for this thing? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, do you want to share my content, bro? And like, he's gone, yeah, I'll share. Like, I'll share it, but it's like, yeah, if you can do the video sort of thing. I've just made up this concept where I was wearing like a smart attire on top. So I wear like a t-shirt, like a nice shirt, and I'm wearing a tie. Then I'm also wearing like a jogger's bottoms and like one smart shoe and one slipper.
I remember the video,
thing,
yeah.
So I'm like walked up to like my mate's car, and I'm like just making banter, and like we've done this video. I've sent it to him, and he's reposted it. So I'm like, oh no way! Like this guy is like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, thank you for sharing it. But he's left that video for at least a week while he's campaigning his album, basically.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, like, that's quite cool. And then yeah, I've got Secret Drops is running, right? And like this is 2017 we're talking about, and I've got Nas Festival coming up in like 2 months' time.
Yeah.
And like Nines has just said to me like, oh, you know what? Like if you ever want me to wear like your clothes or whatever, I'll wear it and I'll share it. And obviously he's a big personality. He was a big personality then, big personality now.
Massive now.
Yeah, massive. I'm saying number one. So like so when he said he could do that, it was a great opportunity for me, for someone like, I live in Reading, bro. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like the biggest artist at the time in Reading wouldn't have been anywhere near. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and plus that he was sort of just naturally reaching out and just saying like, yo, do you like if you? I'm like, bro, I'll take the opportunity. Yeah, so I went over. We've taken a photo sort of thing, and like I'm like, yeah, cheers, mate. See you later. And he's like, where you going? I'm like, going home, bro. I'm into Reading. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he's like, well, now you might as well chill around. Like, I've got to talk to you about something. I was like, what's that? And lo and behold, he's pitching me Crop Circle, basically. He's telling me that he wants me to act in this film for him. So I'm like, wow. I thought it was just good. Because obviously I've done skits, so I'm thinking, oh, so I'll pass you the camera and you do this and you do that. And he's yeah, I don't think you're quite thinking the way I'm thinking. Like,
he's thinking full on film.
Yeah. Like, he's like, it was kind of like production, like a massive thing. I'm thinking, oh, is it? I was like, well, that's kind of like, what's that? So we went into that sort of process. And then, so when I've been hired to do this film, I remember saying to someone like, I was just on set, so that so many influencers at the time were there. So like you'd have had your Steve the Madman, you're like Face in the News, you're like Yums TV, you're what's his name? Sideman, you know Sideman?
KSI.
No, not KSI. There's actually a guy named Sideman.
Oh, the guy from Birmingham.
From Birmingham, yeah. But you see how man that the branding is just KSI has got the branding on lock.
Yeah, but, that's him now.
But yeah, Sideman, and you got like T1, and there was a lot of people that were actively on like Instagram. And at the time, I think I've got like 1,000, maybe 2,000 followers or something. And so I asked them, how do I capitalize on the momentum that's coming to me when this film drops? Because when it drops, it's not like it's my own thing where I posted my friends might share it or not. This is something that labels are behind, sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's gonna do well. Do you know what I mean? And they were just like, no, everyone's giving me sort of vague sort of things, like vague answers, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then I just sat back and thought to myself, I need this 180-day plan. I had made a 180-day plan, which was like, every day for 180 days, I'm going to make a skit and drop a skit my first few days, I don't know how to explain it, but just God willed it. It's just like it just happened in a sense where it's like my first day of doing this skit, I've made like a decent little one, and it's done a little bit of interactions, and then in that 20 to 48 hours, right, my friends invited me to Shoreditch. So I was like, cool, I'll come over to Shoreditch. But I'm like traveling to Shoreditch, I just caught a train.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got to the train station and there's a man standing there. So I just was like, because I was already in that mindset, like I was creating skits and that sort of thing, I've just pulled out my camera and then given him the camera and he started recording me. So like, we've created this piece of content, yeah. But I've watched back this content so many times, like on the train, like I'm laughing to myself.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely was laughing at this thing, like I'm thinking, bro, this is different. Like, what have I just done here? But I didn't know quite understand it. That night, we actually made some other content that I shared, and then on the third day of this plan, I just threw out that video from that train station, right? And like these times, the Instagram algorithm was still favorable to creators, so it was a time period where like you could see like other people's interactions, who they've commented on, and what kind of likes they've gone, and who's doing what. And
that one little page was like who's liked what. And
because people used to think like it was a page that was just based on like relationships and stuff like that, but really it was just a monetary hold for the app in itself to stop people from like just naturally generating traffic. Like now, if I want to know what you have an interest in, unless I follow the same pages, you'd have to share it on your story or something. That's the only other way I can see what sort of things you have an interest in. But so because of that one specific page, I'll tell you now, I've had like maybe like 300 likes to come on this video, and I thought, it was quite funny. I thought like 300 likes is funny, but then it's got shared like by these blog pages, like different blog pages of sharing it, and like people like with like accounts, influencers are sharing it, and people start jumping into my comments. So at the time, you like people like Terrell Lewis is coming in there, like Steve has also come in, and you got like Just Bates just taking the video, he shared it to like millions of people, and it's just gone mad. Like
he's smashing it.
He's definitely smashing it. Still big out to him. But yeah, literally just through that, and like a lot of that's where the takeoff was. And then I remember I was speaking to like one of my best mates, and I was like to him like, bro, he's like, that video's jokes, like, you know what I'm saying, like it was quite funny. And I said to him, why if I do another one, you know what I'm saying, and I do another one just in the same style, like just ride the wave till the wave crashes. So what do you mean? So I've just gone out and like literally within that time, like 2-3 days, just I could film. I genuinely at one stage of doing Jimmy Jones, I could get paid like ridiculous amounts just off like 5 minutes worth of work. Like, it wouldn't take me time. Like I would go to central London, for instance. I'll just walk around a few streets, find people, and like wear this glove for like. It wouldn't no longer than I'm done. And then it's just like I'll have so much content. Like I'd have probably filmed like maybe like nine or so videos, or maybe however many videos I filmed. But those videos would all come out in the same week. So I'll drop one this week, and I'll drop a next one in 2 weeks time. And so there's just spaced out. And then in between that time period, there's other things going on. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, that really was gave me the biggest exposure. I would say,
People, I'm guessing, still recognise you.
Yeah.
From that. Do people ever ask where the glove is?
Yeah, all the time. All the time. I said, I've retired the character a long time ago. Like, why did you stop? One of the funniest things, like, I go, like I was saying to you, I go to festivals a lot, and I work a lot of festivals. But like, I'll bump into people like, Jimmy Jones. I'm like, yeah. From the jailhouse. I'm like, yeah, from the jailhouse. And they're like, nah, no way. Like,
they go mental.
They're like, Jimmy Jones. Like, you know, like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, that emotion and feel is genuinely nice. It's a nice feel to have and to share with someone. But in the same instance, I'm like, bro, that was, that was like, I said to my, like, that was like 4 or 5 years ago now. Like, yeah, man. I met people now, I actually, like, last year I was in a university campus. I was doing some work there, and there was like a group of boys that asked me, like, are you Jimmy Jones? I was like, yeah, I'm Jimmy Jones. Like, bro, you don't know how funny you're. Like, I was in my like year 10 or something, like back when I was in year 10, I was watching your stuff. I was thinking, like, bro, like, back when you was in year 10.
Makes you feel old.
Yeah, because you're at university now. So, like, yeah, make me feel old. So I'm like, yeah. So, yeah, I cherish the moments, but slowly just progressing forward, man.
Some of my friends still quote it.
Oh, is it?
And like, they didn't go to Forest. We're talking like people like Oxford way.
Yeah,
They'll still say it.
Just like from the jailhouse.
Yeah. They'll randomly shout it on a night out, and I'll be like,
I swear down.
no, but it's weird for me because like they know it as like a you got to feel like a big shack, that kind of thing. Where they see what's going on there. Like I know it as in I've known you since I was like 10, 11. So I'm like, yeah, this is.
Hello, mate. You know, like I can call him now if you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, do you know? I think I got when I bumped into you running festival. I was texting him and I said about it, and you were like, "Oh yeah, pass your phone." Like you did a little video message for him.
Yeah.
I remember I was just cracking up, and he still talks about it.
I swear down.
It's a funny. I think it where, and I'm just like, where have you just remembered that from randomly? And he's like
Big Jimmy Jones.
Yeah, randomly. And I'm like, what has made you think of that? I'm like, where we are. But like, that's obviously led to some like pretty crazy things for you.
Yeah, no,
the thing that always stands out for me, obviously you got to think like 9 stuff like that. But other than that, was the Nike advert.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was mental.
That was crazy. Do you know? I never dwell on moments too much, but that was a great moment. Business wise, could have been better. Yeah. But for what it did for my portfolio, so in a way, so how the brand works. So I work for my company, but I'm also an entity to my company. So So sometimes when you take off the hat, and I'm working from the point of the marketing company and the PR company to push certain artists and these brands across. I am part of that roster, so it's like when we got the message to say, "Yo, Nike want to do some work with you," we were independent. Do you know what my journey with that Jimmy Jones thing was? That I could have signed to. There was a company I could have signed to. They do a lot of production work and stuff like that. But they wanted to take 50%, and their 50% wasn't just 50% on what the jobs they gave me. There was 50% across the board. Now you've just mentioned to me, like I came in with where I was working, like I've done like secret jobs tours, and I've done like other business things, and leading up to that point, just to give 50% to someone, it just didn't really make sense. I sort of held up on that offer, and I just went and worked throughout that time period to establishing the Jimmy Jones name. And through that, man, I just got we got through to the emails, and it's like, Nike wants you to be in an advert. I was like, no way. I was like, yeah, they want you to feature in like a 60-second video, but it's like shot into 3 different parts, but yours is about 15 seconds. And I was like, no, I'm interested.
It was about London, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a London thing. It was a London thing. So I think the other person that featured in it was Kelvin Cole. I don't know if you know him. Yeah. He's an artist in Germany. He's like a rapper in Germany. And he was in that section. And then that script, funny enough, was actually, rest in peace to Jamal Edwards, but that was actually meant to be Jamal Edwards, the guy from Link Up, and Posty. Yeah, so it was meant to be those 3 people that were meant to feature in the 3 different segments. But for some reason, they felt that it worked better with influencers. And at the time, Jimmy Jones really had that sort of influence that it allowed us to do that. So I enjoyed it, man.
I remember seeing it and I was like, wait, what? Yeah. I had to like double take it a couple of times. I was thinking, that's absolutely mental. I always forget about it. That's one thing I always forget about. Yeah. I was planning this and I was thinking, the Nike advert. I was like, how did I forget that? Yeah. I was like, you look back like all this stuff and I'm like, that's massive, but you don't really like deep it.
It's not. Do you know what? In my catalogue of things that I've done, people don't tend to look at the Nike thing as a big thing, but I think it really went far for me. I think it was one of the first jobs that my company, so Life of a Hustler Marketing, took on board in terms of providing to a very well established big brand. And for our portfolio, it went crazy because after that, we had a leg to stand on. Do you know what I mean? So we can do this and we can do that and we can provide these sort of things.
Well, that's the thing. Not many people can say I've been a Nike advert. Yeah. Unless you're like
a feature,
Ronaldo,
or
that. Not many people can just be there like
or extra.
Yeah. Like you can't. Not many people can like blag it, but like it's a fucking mental thing, isn't it? Yeah. But obviously, Life of a Hustler, as you mentioned, then that's blown up massively. In my opinion, I've seen a lot more in the last 6 months. Yeah. And do you think it's down to, I know because you guys do like marketing strategy and you do like social content creation and that stuff. And then obviously the backpack billboards
Yes.
have come back. But I remember you saying to me about them like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And you said about people, because you said about it with us, with HM, about people walking around town.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I never realised how it could work.
Yeah.
And then you started doing the festivals.
Yeah.
Like Wireless, Reading,
Yeah.
like BBC Radio 1 Extras Party.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And I'm like, right, okay, I can see how this is definitely working. Where was the idea for that? Kind of where did that all come from?
Do you know what it is? What the idea came because the councils and the people that work in these offices wouldn't let us have a piece of land, and they wouldn't let us. They basically wouldn't allow us to have billboards.
Yeah.
So like just normal billboards. You know, the process for it was just so long-winded.
It's all separated into certain companies. And
yeah, not even that. It was a thing where like, so as a marketing agency, we go past the Jim Jones area, and reality hits us in about 2019. So at about 2019, yeah, things didn't go so well. So it was a very slow period, and I took a pay cut and started working with like local businesses. You know what I'm saying? So it was a time period you just walk in places and people are like, bro, so what are you doing here? Like, you should be over there doing something else. And I thought, nah, like for my skill set and what I have at the moment, I really need to actually develop on like actually understanding brand product placements, and then understanding the psychology behind of communicating products to clients, and then obviously conversion rates, and actually getting people to buy things and invest into actual products that people want us to. You know what I'm saying? So when we're in that sort of thought process, I stopped working with like Zach's Cafe and Grill, and then
because Connor's doing a lot of stuff for them now, isn't he?
Oh, is it
Conco Media?
Oh, maybe I think he's doing with Munchies. Because Zach's Cafe is closed now.
Yeah,
Munchies he's at. So, but we were at the time, and probably even still now, we were prominent in sort of setting the trend that was sort of coming out of the town in terms of like content creation and breaking into businesses and trying to put social media and professional businesses to sort of bridge that gap. You know what I'm saying? So having had the insight that I've had from all the other stuff that I've done, it was trying to understand, okay, so how are we going to make this world work? And then COVID comes in, and when COVID's coming in, we were looking at getting billboard spaces, and like the process is going along, and you know, and the funds are not making sense for what's going on.
Yeah, of course.
So started looking at different things. So looked at like van billboards, which is
driving around ones.
So there's a few of those around. So looked at that, and it was like, you know, I don't drive. I've never drove a car in my life.
You get bike ones as well.
Yeah. They got bike ones now, but at the time you had the van ones. That was what the people in the cheap product line, the manufacturers were producing at the time.
Petrol prices now, though, must be a pain.
They must be. It might be crazy. You know what I mean? Well, I'm just walking with the board. No, but yeah. So the idea comes along where we're speaking to some manufacturers, and we're breaking down concepts and ideas and like things that we potentially could have screens in. So like you could have them in like chicken shops, but the idea's already there. So there's some people that do that sort of thing, and we just wanted something that was niche and very much something I can invest back into and really be passionate about. And my first job, I used to work on the street, and I used to walk around on the street, so I know like that environment. But one thing that in that environment that you don't have is like somebody just walking around that's just like a board, you know, an advertisement board. I thought, that's a banging idea. I think that could work. Got some like sort of prototypes made, got one in, you know what I'm saying, and it's like I remember like my first little tryout, I was showing me how it's working. I'm like, so you could have your advert in here, start flickering in the middle of the ad. I was like, wow. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And that client, we ended up working with them eventually, but in that meeting, I just felt to myself like, oh man, have I missed the opportunity? But not really. And then I went past the time period where I was now looking at actually scaling the idea and the concept, because last year, Reading Festival was the only booking we had for the screens. we did Pepsi and Subway, funny enough.
Yeah.
But it was the franchisee, so not like from HQ and that sort of thing. So yeah, they just said, yeah, you can operate in this space and see how we do. And then we had like daily. So that Reading Festival weekend was that. It was a little insight, but it was good enough.
I did see them. I took my mum to see Stormzy.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. When I was walking down, I saw someone from the screens.
Oh yeah. Where did you come out? The guest exit.
No, you know about the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, there.
Oh yeah, you probably would have seen some people over there with some.
There's a massive subway thing there as well.
Or with the carts. We have another service on there.
So I didn't see that. It wasn't this one you just been. It was the one before.
No, it was at the last one. So I
didn't see that.
But whoever you saw with the screens, chances are they were probably doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so up and down. So we did do that, and it was quite good. Just an insight to sort of see how it's like. I went to Isle of Wight afterwards, and that was quite good. And I used the screens there, and people were just like, "What is this? This is amazing! Like I really like it." And then we this year we just went to like a few industry events and that sort of thing, and I remember there was this one mate that was just standing there. He's taking photos of the screen, but the way he's taking them is so passionate. So I've gone up to him and I said, you could just like add my contact details, and I can show you more about the screens if you have an interest in it. Do you know what I mean? He's like, oh, is you are the people behind it? I was like, yeah. So just, you know what I mean? So he's taken my contact details. Turns out he works one of the senior managers in marketing at BBC. So he was just like, oh, like we've got a few shows going on, and like we would like you guys to work a few of them. Do you know how many screens have you got? I'm like, oh, bro, must go like 15 of them. We're like, what do you want me to do? So he's like, yeah, like we'll get you in and do some other stuff. And then so we had our first booking with the BBC was Wireless Festival. So it was Crystal Palace. Yeah. It was just surreal. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like, even the reason it was so real for me was because of my history with the entertainment industry in the UK. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, oh, okay. Do you know what I'm saying? So for a long time, I've been trying to just break out of a concept to say like, like if you're a creator, or even if you're a businessman, it doesn't stop you from channeling and doing something else. So so we did 13 festivals this season, absolutely mental. Like I've been up and down the country all along, and then literally that's the story of the billboards right now. Because
I remember being on Instagram, and just flicking through it. I'm a big Chris Brown fan, right? Yeah. So I bought tickets for the Birmingham one, and so I'm just like flicking through it, and I was like, oh, like let's see if he's posting anything from his London show, and then I was like, hold on, I was like, that's the billboard. And I was like, wait, what? So I looked on your Instagram and I've seen you reshared it as well. And I was like, hang about. I was like, you've just been shared.
Reached to 114 million people,
And you're there like that. You think, okay, that's wild. But do you know what was really weird about that? The next story along I clicked, and the one before, which is how I got onto it, was someone else that I know dancing to a Chris Brown song.
Oh, no way.
And they shared him. And then I was like, that's mental. And I clicked it, and it was two people I know, bang, bang, on Chris Brown's story. And I was like, wait, what?
Oh, you got the energies. That's a sign that you should have gone to the Chris Brown show.
I went to the Birmingham one.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it was. It doesn't compare to like anything, like any artist or anything like that. But he's a performer, isn't he?
He's a performer.
Do you think that helped? Did you get anything off that?
Off that, I think it made our relationships with the BBC a lot stronger, because they, after that, were very much invested into the idea and the concept of what we're doing. So it went from being like just a partial, like just giving us project to project, to actually giving us something worthwhile or something. So they gave us like basically a lot of summer shows, and we just came from doing the BBC Mellows, for the Asian network. So we haven't just worked with just one part of the BBC. So we worked with like BBC One Extra, BBC Introducing, BBC Sounds. We've worked with BBC Asian Network. Yes. Oh, and BBC Radio. BBC Radio 1. So we've worked with all those parts of the BBC. The only ones we haven't done is probably like the news and stuff like that. But it made it better for us, and then just pushing forward, because it's still early into the race. So just keeping our eyes focused and just making sure that going into the next season, the product comes out better than what it was last season, and with areas that I've seen that can be improved and that the team is talking about improving, and just enhance it and going forward. But it definitely has. But that's Chris Brown, bro.
Well, that's the thing, the social proof for that, right? But then like you look at the social proof of all the other people that are posed with him. I saw AJ Tracy, Pot Paper, Morrison.
Yeah.
Jermaine
Defoe.
That was a cool one.
Yeah. That was very nice. I grew up with a love-hate relationship for Jermaine Defoe because I'm an Arsenal fan. So yes, but when I saw him, do you know what's funny? Why I ended up getting a photo with Jermaine Defoe? As he was walking out of the VIP section in Wireless, right? I've asked him, I said, Jermaine, what do you say is like the key to your success, and what is it? So he was walking off with the security, and he's just stopped and he's like, oh, you just got to put in the work. You know what I'm saying? You got to be dedicated to put in the work. I was like, oh, so how did you ever feel lonely, isolated in your journey? And he's like, yeah, it is a lonely journey. Do you know what I'm saying? He's like, there was times where my friends are we're kicking ball and they want to go out and that sort of thing. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't even go out. I just go sacrifice.
Yeah.
And that, at the time as he's saying that, which is why I say to you, when I've moved to the countryside, I felt so isolated. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm feeling the isolation, but it's like having that vision and that goal in mind to say like, yo, that's where it's going to go. And like, look, this is my first time talking about business, about billboards, and that stems from them sort of conversations.
Well, you got to get out of your comfort zone, right, as well. Yeah, so what he said about, it's like everything you do, if you're in your comfort zone, you're never going to be able to sort of progress and move on from it. So you usually step outside it is when you grow. Yeah. So for you, taking yourself out of Reading, which is how comfortable is living in Reading for you? It's very comfortable. It's so comfortable, isn't it? You can walk around. Most people know who you are. Sociable guy. You move somewhere that did you ever been to Dorset before?
No, I used to go to Dorset quite a bit. I used to, but that nice Dorset, like Bournemouth Dorset. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what I'm talking about, like Wincanton and like places like Gillingham. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like near Salisbury.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, you walk a mile in that direction from where I live and you're in farms.
Fine.
Yeah.
Literally middle of nowhere. But it's nice to go out there sometimes, isn't it? It's like, I know a lot of people that move country, so like Bali and places like that, just to set up a business, and they'll spend 2 years there because they say no distractions, but you're moving to Bali. That's that's a big one. But it's the whole thing of out your comfort zone. Yeah. People you don't know, fresh start to a certain degree. You can really make a name for yourself by doing it.
Yeah. Like, I'm never really at home. Like, my home is my office.
Yeah.
So like, so I live. So it's working from home, but it's like, where I live is my office. But it's like I travel a lot, so I travel with purpose. So like a lot of places I go is just for a specific reason and so that sort of thing. But yeah, man, absolutely. I can't. Do you know what? I thank God all the time for obviously giving me the opportunities. But it's I tell you now, it's not been an easy journey by far, by any means. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, also the battle they have here is probably one of the biggest battles you're gonna have because it's like it's okay for somebody else to doubt what you got going on. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, even when I came, I remember presenting you this idea, like, I've got these billboards things, you know what I'm saying? And you're buying into it, but it's like, bro, what are you actually saying? Because no one's seen it. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, until it's actually in play and flourishing and people are actually seeing what it can do, you have to sort of block out and just
and I feel like it's got to be the right industry, right? Like, still for recruitment, I don't think you could work with recruitment unless it's like,
I've never really interacted with recruitment agencies like that. We couldn't really tell you where we could add value to that.
It's because it's a lot of it's headhunting now, so it'd be a difficult one to do it. But then like you look at festivals and set times, and you think,
that's crazy. No, but that's what I'm saying. So it's like different people, like it's different industries. I think. The entertainment industry is one for sure. I think the food industry is another one. Retail is another big one. But we don't cancel out any industries. I think anyone that has like structure, like I know you just told me about that client that you've got. You see people like that. They're invested in the sort of like the trend and the socialness and the social element of it. But it's like and they also look at what value that has in terms of like converting things over. So it's like they know you probably can do the exact job of what they're looking for you to do.
Yeah,
So
people deal with people, right? People want to work with people that actually get along with, they enjoy speaking to.
Literally.
You've got to speak to them every single day, especially if you're working close with them. If you
Yeah.
don't get along with them,
It's a bit long.
yeah, we've hired people before that didn't always see eye to eye and things.
Yeah,
It's just there, like, you don't want to speak to them, you don't want to have the conversation with them.
Yeah.
So
It's not enjoyable, do you know what I'm saying?
no, it definitely wasn't enjoyable.
Okay.
With certain ones, but
okay.
yeah, all fun. But then, so obviously you had all that, and then music.
Yeah.
Just I remember seeing it popped up randomly, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, what can't this guy do right now?
Yeah.
Because right, you look at 2021 here,
Yeah.
it's just under 500,000 streams, and that's just Spotify.
Yeah.
That's nowhere else.
Yeah.
127,000 different people listening to it over 151 countries.
Yeah.
Now, if you think probably that was last year. Now it's well over 500,000.
Nah, yeah, I think I touched 1 million streams the other month. Yeah.
So that's crazy.
1 million streams. Yeah. Bro, I'm a creative. So I love to be creative and get into all kinds of zones. My father differs. My father says, "You waste of time." I say, I understand it, but it's just a hobby for me. I'm not actively pursuing music to be like, I want to be like a Stormzy, a Dave, or somewhere in the book. I enjoy to tell my stories and be creative, and if we can vibe with it, and then so that's mere subjective. It's very costly, but a lot of my costs are waived because I work within the industry music, so I work with a lot of like engineers. I work with a lot of like labels,
of course,
that sort of thing. So it's like certain thing, like studio time in itself. I was saying this the other day, not the other day, the other year. I was saying this last year. I said artists on average spend 1,500 before a song is even out.
Yeah.
And like there are platforms that are out there that are exploiting people. I don't want to get into that conversation too tough now, but it's it's something that has to be looked at because it's like, where are these people getting their funding? Do you know what I'm saying? Some people have to work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? You got to save. Some people do other things to get to that. So, do you know what I mean? And it's like there is no actual transparency in what they're gonna get from say the channels or wherever they're releasing or they distribute. So that there's a relationship that needs to be worked out over there. But for me, I don't care. I'm just enjoying, bro.
You're just enjoying it.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like I meet people that and they're like, oh, I've heard this one song of yours. I've heard this one. I've heard this. Yeah, that's great. That's amazing. I'm just.
You're just doing it because it's fun for you.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's enjoyable, and I've got things to talk about. Do you know what I mean? Like I was saying to you, like I care more for like social, progressive conversations. I like things to do with our state and well-being as people. So, yeah, that's me. That's how I see it.
I know you mentioned government council then quickly as well. I know you've been doing some work with. Do you know, I'm starting to do some stuff with the council as well, and I'm literally with them tomorrow.
Okay,
which is going to be interesting. But it's all about learning and development and recruitment.
Okay,
for Reading Council. They're trying to build like a massive skill gap and unemployment rates and stuff like that. So they've built like a board of advisors round, and then I'm representing recruitment, which I think's mad. I think
that's quite good. Congratulations, bro.
Yeah,
Big up.
Cheers. I always think they said about it, and I was just like, fair enough. I was like, why not? And my dad cracks me up. So I keep saying, I'm a government advisor, and he's like, you're not. He's like, it's local council, and I was like,
yeah, I'm a government advisor.
Yeah, I was like, don't let the facts come in the way of a good story. Yeah, right? It is what it is. But I know you were doing some work because you did a few. Was it knife crime workshops?
Yeah. So I had a client last year who runs the MAP Center. So the one in Reading. And they sort of look after the less privileged within like a square mile radius.
Yeah.
So but so like all the kids that go there, they're from like really low income families and that sort of thing. But they had, because last year Reading had a really bad knife crime sort of. It was a little bit off the scale, and it was sort of looking at solutions. So we sort of came up with this event, which was just inviting a lot of people. So there was police were there. Yeah. You had like some local councillors there. You had like family members of victims. Like Ollie Stevens' father, rest in peace to Ollie. Ollie Stevens' father came and spoke. You have people like Moses from like Give Back Reading, which they're doing really, they're smashing it. They've got even got like a football team as well. Do you know what I'm saying? So which is sponsored by Reading FC themselves. So there were people like that that were sort of speaking within the space, and that was just mainly to get the objective out of what is going on within the community. So we're just sort of raising awareness and sort of speaking on the issues, but it's the solution we're looking for. Do you know what I mean? Because speaking on, like, we can all say knife crime is bad. Of course it's bad. But what's the solution behind it? Like, so what are the active things that we're thinking can come and implement and be put in system that will better ourselves, you know what I'm saying, and get us across to the next place. And recently I got slayed on Twitter, yeah, like so crazy.
Hate Twitter.
Yeah, I hate Twitter.
I hate it.
I've caught a few L's on Twitter, to be fair, but I don't really mind. I like to have conversations and I like to engage with people. But on Twitter, we had a conversation which was about proximity crime and black on black crime. I was having about this, and it was sort of just in that I was looking for solutions. But what you find, a lot of people like to ridicule ideas, but don't actually have any ideas for themselves in terms of like what can actually be a solution. So. Yeah, man. Even like the protests that happened 2 years ago, there would have been people that went to the protests, but past that, there was no conversation past that. So you're still in the same predicament. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a saying a woman named Jo that I met at the festivals told me this year, which is, if you do what you've always done, you will get what you've always got. So don't go around in circles thinking just shouting and things just going to help it, but actually come up with a, if you can come. Like, we have to reclaim things, you know what I mean? I personally believe it's a way where if we can fund, like, say, £5 a month to different charities, why don't we have different charity organizations that we can put £5 a month to that can run workshops? Do you know what I'm saying? So you could come through and speak about recruitment. Some other come through speak about marketing. The guy over there could come and speak about sound.
Kai's got a shout out.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm saying, like, it's a thing where, like, we can all show. I think communication is key, but miscommunication is even more detrimental to us than not having any communication at all. Because when people feel like things are being communicated to them, but in a very hostile manner, they become defensive, and it's like, okay, so where do we find a way to bridge the gap and sort of, try to walk away from the narrative and have better things? And so with what we're doing here this summer, so even like with the BBC Mellors, we worked with a lot of young people while we were doing the Mellors, do you know what I mean? We have some young lads that worked with us in Birmingham, and some people that worked with us in Cardiff. But with that, they were like 17, 18, around about that age, and they're just young boys, but they're really, you can show them something different. So I'm like, they're like, oh, I've never seen the billboards, and I've never worked with that company that does this sort of thing. I'm like, bro, like, these ideas are out here. You just got to be confident enough in what you're doing, and stay away from all the other nonsense, and just stick to what your thing is.
Yeah, I think it's the inspiration thing, isn't it? Yeah. It's like we go back to a lot of schools now as well, and colleges and stuff like that, and speak at them and show people like, oh, you can set a business up when you're young, or you can set a podcast up, you can do these things. Yeah. And then you see like the light switch going in a few of their heads, thinking, okay, well, I could do this and I could do that, and stuff like that. And I think that's the thing. If you can't give back, then you can't find a time to do it. Everyone can find a time to do it.
I think you can. I think it's excuse, in it, because I think one of the biggest excuses people have for not getting involved in social matters is because they say it can't. Not that it can't be changed in our lifetime, but they think the magnitude of what the crisis is. But, bro, if you can do something that's going to change one person's idea and concepts and the ways of being, you've already made the change.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because you weren't guaranteed to make his change anyway. Do you know what I mean? So if you make his or hers change, you've done some element of good. And chances are someone else is going to see them as an element of example. Like, oh, wow, look at what he's doing, or look at what she's doing. Jump, and then they might go head off and do that same thing. So it's like, it's a matter of knowing that you as an individual can't take on the whole world's crisis, but you can take on whatever is in your space. Do you know what I'm saying? So if we can have conversation with different people that that you think he's been led astray, or she's a little bit, you know what I'm saying, not in the right place. You know what I'm saying? Having that conversation, yo, what are you up to? What kind of things are you working on? What I might not be able to to help you, but I might know somebody that can.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying? So I might utilizing our networks in the right way. Do you know what I'm saying? To actually make the difference. You know what I'm saying? Not just talk on the difference, because it's that it's cool to come on Twitter and be like, oh, look at him. He sounds like he's off his nut.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the solution. What solution have you provided? No one's giving anything. So it's like, yeah, that's where the conversation needs to head.
Well, you never know who you're going to inspire, right? You could inspire this one person that then is inspired by you, that then goes and does something crazy that inspires so many people, that makes a change. Yeah. And like the knock-on domino effect. You never know.
Like I heard Kanye say, like, Tupac spoke about me once, but he never met me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
his Insta's crazy right now.
He's always been like that.
Yeah.
I think he's one of them people that he has the worst propaganda that just goes against him. But when but when you strip it back, it's like you don't get that far and inspire so many or have so many people follow you if you're that mad. You know what I'm saying? So
my favorite thing he did recently was he was on the news talking about like stepping away from Gap, and their stock price was next to it, and it was just dropping. I was just like, yeah. To be fair, the only reason they're relevant right now, right, is
he went back. I hadn't bought Gap in a while.
Yeah.
I don't think I even got the Gap hoodies with Kanye and stuff.
But they're on StockX, they're on places like that. There won't be any more, obviously. But he's there like posting like the directors of Gap's names on Instagram today. Yeah, because he's under restrictions. So it's like legal about him not being able to make clothing or something, and there's like all this like legal battle going on.
Yeah, but he would have probably signed a contract with like maybe for like 18 months after that. Yeah. He can't make his own personal stuff or stuff like that. But it's, you know, when you walk into big money conversations, that's where you're gonna get. Even that, you know what, I'm nowhere near the Kanye level. Maybe one day. But when I signed the Nike contract, that had exclusivity to it, so I couldn't post any other like sports brands. And stuff like that. Do you know what I'm saying? And I work a lot of sports brands. I remember the guy that was interviewing me about it. I was like, yeah, I like Adidas, bro. Like Adidas all the time. Like, yeah, you can't post them.
It's crazy, isn't it? I was speaking to one of the previous guests. His name's George. So he owns a company called Cowshed Creative, which they do like all the Foot Asylum's YouTube.
Oh, nice.
So it does the shoe fit. That was his idea. Like he was there filming it. Like it's.
Oh, what's the company called?
Cowshed Creative.
Cowshed Creative.
So they do all the like Beta Squad stuff, like Chunks and Philly and stuff.
Nice.
So you won't see Chunks in Foot Asylum anymore, and none of their videos because he's now with JD. And it's like he can't then cross, so they can't book certain people, and he said it's so political now of like who you can and can't.
But it's at that level, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's crazy when you think of it, but I think it leads quite nice on now, because whenever I think of your spike, basically, so what your spike is the thing that's unique to you, like that skill that you've got, or the attribute, or whatever it is that makes you sort of stand out. When I think of like what yours could be, there's so many different things that comes to mind. I need to get yours first, because I could be giving you an idea. So, what do you think your spike is?
My spike is just perseverance. I think just the hustle is just different. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't mind how long the race is gonna take me, but I'm destined to be on this journey. Do you know what I'm saying? I know where the journey is taking me. So I think just the drive. You know what I'm saying? Just the vision in itself. I think what makes me different is just that the fact that I'm determined to get to this hustle. You know what I'm saying? 100%. That's just the way it is. Because there's no if, maybe, or but. It has to be done.
The two things that I always think of when everyone says your name or I see your stuff is, one, being relentless.
Yeah,
I don't think I've met someone that is so relentless or that doesn't care about like the grind and the hustle of it. They'll just get it done. If you say you're going to do something, you're there like, no, I'm doing it. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take me. Like we sat down in Carluccio's, I had a coffee like 3 years ago. About the billboards, and I'm there like, okay, now you look at it, okay, Chris Brown's showing it. It's like every festival. Like when you say you're going to do it,
it's got I try to stick to my promises. I see.
Last question, a bit more fun. So, dead or alive, 3 people for a dinner guest. It's at your house. Who are you picking?
Well, Malcolm X. I'm gonna have JFK there, and then we're gonna have that's Betty White.
Okay, so 3 very different answers that we've had before as well.
Yeah. I'm like Betty White there. Do you know what I mean? I think that just
it's a hard question, isn't it? Mine changes every single week.
I think it would, if you asked me 5 minutes later, I probably would change it again. But I think there's only one specific name that'll always be there. I think Malcolm X, I always say I always want it. Because I always wanted to know why he was so resilient. And why, like his vision of the world and that side of things. Like whenever you get assassinated for whatever, the way you're speaking or whatever it is. You must be somebody that people have you've ruffled a lot of feathers. So I just wanted to know, like, bro, like, where's your head? Like, what do you think about that?
See, mine changes all the time. I have Robert Greene comes into mine occasionally.
I like Robert Greene.
Yeah, that would be an interesting guy.
He's a good guy, yeah.
Justin Bieber sometimes gets a shout.
Big up Bieber.
Do you know how mad that would be? Like, you think like the spotlight at such a young age, the stories would be crazy.
Maybe Michael Jackson. Now that you say that, I'd have a conversation.
Someone said him a couple times. Yeah. Someone said the Queen. The first one was the Queen.
Okay.
And I was like, I can see that. That's
She was long service. Rest in peace to the Queen.
Yeah, obviously that was today.
Yeah, literally.
And everything.
Yeah, literally.
It's, did you see that, like BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, Channel 4, all showing it, then like Channel 5 was showing like the Emoji Movie or something.
Oh, sit down.
I was just like,
surely
you just wouldn't show it.
Yeah.
Like, you just be like,
you just it's bad taste, isn't it?
Yeah. They've just done films back to back, but yeah, there's some interesting. Chris Brown was occasionally in mine. Winston Churchill.
Oh, I'd have a conversation with Winston.
Yeah, I love the last film they did about him.
Which one was it?
I think the one that was just called Churchill.
Oh, just Churchill.
Yeah. Like he was, you think, the leader during the war and everything.
Yeah. Is that when he gives a speech at the end, sort of thing?
Yeah.
I think I've seen that one.
That would be crazy conversation.
Yeah, that's
like you literally led a country for a war.
Yeah, but not only that, you have an impact to generations after.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Someone said Churchill and Hitler, and I was like, that would be a tough one. Could you imagine being sat there when that's happening? You'd be like,
what, in the same conversation?
Yeah, it's around the same dinner table.
That guy's got to get checked out.
Yeah, they're like, you're not coming out there alive.
Yeah.
Like, that's
a mayhem. You're catching, your UFC may as well just host that one.
Yeah, there's been some funny ones. I'll tell you after, because I'm not repeating them again.
It's
not.
I'm trying to think. I don't like to think of, Betty White was in my one because I thought of Betty White earlier. I don't know why it was about, but that's why she came up in that. But I tend not to think maybe entertainers. I want to also know the people that have made decisions that maybe Barack Obama, would be a great person to speak to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He'll be quite cool to speak to. Yeah, maybe Mahatma Gandhi or something.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah. There's some when you like start really thinking it, 'cause it's such a question that like someone could just be there like, oh, I want to speak to, and they say 3 people, and then you actually start deepening it a lot more and like laying it back, thinking, okay, actually, one sec, this person could be quite interesting because of that. But then you come up with some mad 3 people, then you can't pick, and then we had one guest that they took him like 20 minutes to try to work someone out.
Really?
And we were just sat here, and I was just like, we'll just cut this part out of it. And I was like, this is too long.
Nah, Betty White, but if Betty White wasn't there, we'll go with Tupac.
Yeah.
Tupac.
That'd be quite an interesting one.
You know what I'm saying? Thug life, but not just thug life, you know what I'm saying?
Robert Greene would probably be up there now.
I love Robert Greene, man. I've got 48 laws of power in it.
Yeah, I used to always say George Heaton, who owns Represent, which is the clothing line I always wear, but I'd actually change that now to Jimmy, who's a guy that works there.
Oh,
he looks after the community stuff, and he's just the funniest bloke. So,
is it?
So now I'd be there like he actually overtakes the guy that owns the brand.
Oh,
the guy that looks after all of us.
Yeah.
Oh, he just cracks me up all the time. So I'm there like, all right, yeah, actually, I'd have you instead of him now.
Oh, swear. How does he feel about it?
What about being in there?
No, well, being kicked out or being in there.
I don't think George will care. Like he owns like some mad brand. But Jimmy's actually coming on the podcast soon.
Oh, is it? What's he talking about?
About building a community for Represent, because it's now one of like the biggest clothing brands like UK wise, and they built a community all around it where it's about like rewarding people in the community to keep spending more, and it's the concept they did it. They've been doing it for a couple of years now, but now like it's gone wild for it. But he runs all of that stuff and manages it all.
I love a good arsehole. I love
so many people want to know about how they've been doing it, how it works and everything like that. So yeah, Jimmy's coming down soon from Manchester, Bolton way.
Yeah,
so he's
Manny. I'm due to go to Manny actually.
Yeah, I love it there.
Yeah, I'm going Manny. I think because it's freshers now, We're doing like some tours around a few campus sites. So we got Norwich, Bristol, Birmingham, Bournemouth, Southampton, and I've seen Newcastle.
You might bump into Kai.
Oh, is
Southampton.
Is he Southampton? Yeah,
he's come back. He's come back for today.
Big up Southampton, man.
He's come back just for this episode. Yeah. But no, I've loved having you on. It's been good catching up and everything.
No, 100%, my brother. Man, appreciate you.
We'll have to do something soon as well. All right.
100%. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man. It's always difficult trying to like shake hands over the mic. I'm going to hit it and everything like that.
You should be a pro at this. You should work at it.
Well, we're gonna start practicing. Yeah, it's hitting the cable.